In previous lectures, we have seen how to calculate the electric field intensity using Coulomb's law and Gauss law. When charge distribution is not symmetric, then we have seen using Coulomb's law we can calculate the electric field intensity. But if the charge distribution is symmetric in nature, then we have seen using Gauss law we can easily found the electric field intensity or the force on a charge in an electrostatic field. Now in this lecture we are going to see the another way of calculating the electric field intensity. So let us start our lecture, that is electrostatics part 6. In this lecture we are going to see the calculation of the electric potential at some point. When we can find that electric field potential at some point, then from the relationship between the electric field intensity and the potential of that point we can find out electric field intensity. And this way of finding the electric field intensity is easier because it is easier to handle scalar than the vector quantity. Now to calculate the potential at a point, let us start from the diagram taken here. The electric field is moving in this direction, the electric field is moving. The blue line which is showing the electric field, the direction of the electric field. Now suppose we want to move a plus q charge from the point A to the point B through this path. Now according to the Coulomb's law, the force on this plus q charge when it is moving from point A to point B, we can write that F equals to Q into E. E is the electric field intensity. Now to find out the total work done to move the plus q charge from point A to point B, we have taken a small length here dl and whose distance from the origin of the coordinate system is small r. Now the work done to move the point charge from this point to this point, that means for this dl length, can be calculated as dw, which is equals to f dot dl, that is force into distance. Here in the case of vector field we know the work done will be f dot dl. So f here is equals to q into e dot dl. Now here you can see that the negative sign is given in 6.1, equation 6.1. Now what is the meaning of this negative sign? This negative sign indicates here that the work is being done by the external agent. That means we are applying the external force to move the plus q charge from point A to point B. That means the external agent we are applying, that is why the negative sign is given. If it is positive, then we can say the charge plus q charge is moving by the electrostatic field itself. Okay, so here dw we can find out from this equation 6.1. Now if we want to find out the total work done, then we can take the integration to move the plus q charge from A to B. So w equals to minus integration of A to B f dot dl. Here f we know QE, so minus of integration A to B q into E dot dl. So finally we get one expression, that is W by Q. What is the meaning of that? That means if you see we are moving the plus q charge from point A to point B. Now instead of plus q charge, if we consider one positive unit charge, then the total work done will be W by Q. So from that here we will get W by Q equals to minus of integration A to B E dot dl. And here this W by Q is the potential energy per unit charge, and this quantity W by Q is denoted as VAB, which is known as the potential difference between the point A and point B. So the potential difference between the point A and point B can be written as W by Q, or we can write VAB. So VAB equals to W by Q, that is equals to minus of integration A to B E dot dl. Now we know the electric field intensity E for a point charge plus Q is can be written as E equals to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught R square into AR, that we have seen in the case of the Coulomb's law. From the Coulomb's law we have seen that this equation we can get for the point charge. So now by putting the expression E in this equation 6.3, we will get VAB equals to minus integration A to B is replaced by the radial distance limit. You can see that the point A from the origin is distance is RA, and the position vector B from the origin is RB. So here we have written the integration limit RA to RB Q by 4 pi epsilon naught R square AR dot. This DL is represented by dr AR. Now why? Because you can see that if we move from point A to B, we can see that this R is varying. This R is varying. That is why this DL can be represented as the variation of R, that is dr, and dr will be along the direction, the radial direction R. So that is why we can write dr AR. So AR dot AR will be 1. So ultimately equals to minus integration of RARB Q by 4 pi epsilon naught taken outside of the integration. So dr by R square, or we can write 1 by R square into dr. So that if we take the integration, we will get minus of 1 by R, and limit is RB minus RB and R1. So by putting the value of R or replacing this R by RB and RA, we will get Q by minus minus plus Q by 4 pi epsilon naught 1 by RB minus 1 by RA. So this is equation of VAB, that is the potential difference between point A and point B. Now you can see that the first term, if we multiply with that Q by 4 pi epsilon naught, then we will get Q by 4 pi epsilon naught RB, and if we multiply the second term, then we will get Q by 4 pi epsilon naught RA. So the first term is called the absolute potential of the point position B, and the second term is called the absolute potential at the point A. We will see that. So VAB, ultimately we are getting VB minus VA. VB is the absolute potential of point B, and VA is the absolute potential of point A. And also the potential difference VAB can be considered as the potential at the point B with respect to the potential of the point A. That is the called the potential difference VAB. Now if we consider the potential of VA, that is equals to 0, that is the initial position where the potential is 0, and that we will get that only if RA, that is the distance vector from the origin to the point where we have VA, is at infinite. So at infinite point, if we consider the initial point, that the potential there is VA, that is equals to 0, and the final point B, where that from the origin of the coordinate system the distance is RB or R, if we take, then the potential to move a plus q charge or plus unit positive charge from the infinity to the point whose distance is smaller from the origin of the coordinate system can be written as V equals to q by 4 pi epsilon naught R. Here negative sign again says that we are applying the external force to move the plus q charge or the unit charge from moving from infinite to the point where we want to find out the potential V. So here V equals to q by 4 pi epsilon naught r. So here you can see that v is dependent on only the radial distance r. So after getting the expression v at some point, we have to we can conclude some points, or we can find out some points, and these points are, you can see that point number 1, to determine VAB. So whenever we are determining VAB, A is the initial point while B is the final point. We have seen earlier. Point number 2, if VAB is negative, we have seen earlier, then we can say there is a loss of potential energy in moving Q charge from point A to point B. Or in other way, we can say the work is being done against the field. Now, if VAB is positive, then we can say the work is being done by the field itself. So, the third point says VAB is independent of path taken. So here you can see that the equation, here you can see that RA, this is at infinite, so it is 0, RB equals to R, so VAB equals to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught R. So this V is dependent on R only, not on the path through which the Q charge is taken, through which the unit charge or the plus Q charge we are taking from A to B. So it is not dependent on the path through which the charge is moving. So VAB is independent of the path taken. Fourth point to note, that is VAB is measured in joules per coulomb, and which is commonly known as or referred to as volts. Now from the equation 6.6, we can see that V is only dependent on R. So now if we consider the spherical coordinate system, and we can say at the center of the sphere the test charge is present. For that we have the electrostatic field, and for this electrostatic field we want to find out the electric field, the potential at some point. So we can see that the electric field intensity, points in the radial direction, because V is pointing at the radial direction. So any contribution from a displacement in theta, or in the direction of theta, or in the direction of phi, will be 0, or we can say direct direction is wiped out, that means 0. But only we will consider the dot product produced by E dot dl. So here dl we can find out dr air, and here E we can find out, you know, E into air. So from that E cos alpha dl, or we can write E into dr, where alpha is the angle between E and dl. So here we have seen that the potential difference VAB is independent of path, as we have discussed now. So from that, one important conclusion we can make, that is, if a vector whose line integral does not depend on the path of integration, then this vector is called the conservative vector. So the electric field, in this way we can say the electric field, which is a vector, is conservative in nature. As I said earlier, the electric field is conservative in nature. So from that we can establish that the electric field is conservative in nature. So now we have seen that assuming zero potential at infinity, the potential at a distance r from the point charge is work done per unit charge by the external agent is transferring a test charge from infinity to that point. So mathematically we can write V is the potential at the point whose distance from the origin is smaller. So that V will be equals to minus of integration infinity to r E dot dl. Now if the point charge q in equation 6.6, which we have seen V equals to minus q by 4 pi epsilon naught r air. So the point charge q in 6.6 is not located at the origin, but at a point whose vector position or position vector is r prime. Then what will be the expression of the potential? We are going to see that. Here see that the potential at some distance r, which where we want to find out the potential V. So the V will be the function of R. So that expression is given by 6.8. So how we are getting that one, we are going to see by the diagram. So here you can see that in Cartesian coordinate system, at first we have considered the test charge is placed at this origin of the coordinate system. For that, the electric field, we will have electrostatic field, and on that electrostatic field we have a position. Here this position we want to find out the potential V. So here V will be equals to Q, this test charge Q by 4 pi epsilon naught R into air, because we are taking infinite charge, sorry, the unit positive charge from infinity to that point. So this V is dependent not on the path taken to move the unit positive charge from infinity to that point, but this V is dependent only the radial distance r from the origin. So in the case where the test charge is not present here at the origin, but it is placed at the point here and its distance from the origin is r prime. So what will be the potential at this point now? So again in that case we need to move a plus or positive unit charge from infinity to this point. So here this potential, so at this point the potential V will be the function of R. So if R varies, this potential will vary. So this R actually, from that the potential V, we can find out this R minus R prime, because the distance from this point to this point we have to consider, because here the test charge is not at the origin, that is why the distance only we have to take from this to this. So R minus R prime. So here we can have the expression, you can see that VR, that is the potential at this point, which is the function of R, can be written as that. You see that Q, that is the test charge, divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, and R is replaced by R minus R prime. So up to now we have considered the electric potential or the potential at some point due to the point charge. Now again we can consider if n number of charge is present in a Cartesian coordinate system. So again you see that here n number of charge is present from q1 to qn, and for that we want to find out the potential at the distance here, which is at the point here whose distance from the origin is r. So how we will calculate? We can use the superposition theorem again to calculate the potential at this point due to n number of charge. So here only we have to replace this r prime. So here we can find out VR equals to q1 by 4 pi epsilon naught mod of r minus r prime is replaced by r1 for q1. So for q2 it will be r2, for qn it will be rn. So from that we can find out the potential at a point whose distance from the origin is smaller for the n number of point charge present in the coordinate system, or n number of test charges whose distance vector is given by r1 to rn. So this is the expression for n number of test charge, we can find out the potential. Now in the summation form we can write VR, which is equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught summation of k equals to 1 to n qk by mod of r minus rk for different point charge. Now if we consider, instead of n number of point charges, if we consider the continuous charge distribution, then we have to replace this qk, just like the case we have considered in the case of line charge, surface charge and the volume charge. Here also we can find out the potential at a point for the line charge, for the surface charge, for the volume charge. Here the line charge, surface charge and the volume charge are the test charges. So this test charge, for suppose it is line charge, this line charge will be the function of r prime, because it is not at the origin of the, if it is at the origin then it will be the function of r, but we are considering it is not at the origin, so it will be rho l r prime dl prime. So here you can see that VR equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught line integral of rho l r prime, rho l which is the function of r prime, dl prime for the line charge, and mod of r minus r prime, that is the potential at some point whose distance is r from the origin and given by 6.11. Similarly, we can find out for the surface charge Vr equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught surface integral of rho s function of r prime ds prime by mod of r minus r prime. Similarly, for the volume of charge, equation 6.13 is showing the potential Vr at some point whose distance is r from the origin of the coordinate system. Now, again here I have written here, you can see that here the prime coordinate, that is r prime, are used customarily to denote the source point location, and the unprimed location refers to the field points, that means where we want to find out the electric the potential V. So that is the calculation of the V. Now if we have the V, how to calculate the electric field intensity, that we will see. Here the relationship between the E and V. That means if we know the relationship between the electric field intensity E and the potential V, then if we find out the potential at some point, then using the relationship we can find out the electric field intensity on that point. So here we have taken this diagram. First we are moving from the point B to point B, point A. So here B is the initial point, A is the final point. So from that we can find out VBA. Again we are moving from A to B. So that means we are moving in the opposite direction, that is why minus of VAB. So if we take this one in the left hand side of the equation, so VBA plus VAB equals to 0. So ultimately what from this equation what we are assuming that, or we can find that the potential, if we find out for a closed path, then the total potential will be equals to 0, and we know the expression of potential V, which is equals to the integration of E dot line integral of E dot dl. Forget about the minus for that case. Line integral of E dot dl. So E dot dl for the closed path will be equals to 0, and this equation shows that the line integral of E along a closed path must be 0. So what is the physical meaning of this equation 6.14? It means that no net work is done in moving a charge along a closed path in an electrostatic field. Okay, so if we move a point charge in a closed path which is present in an electrostatic field, then the total work done to move this point charge through the closed path will be equals to 0. The total work done is 0. Now, if we apply the Stokes theorem to the equation 6.14, then what we will get? We know from the Stokes theorem, that is the relationship between the line integral to surface integral. So the closed line integral E dot dl equals to the open surface integral del cross E dot ds equals to 0. So if we consider this equation, so del cross E will be equals to 0. So equation 6.15 we got. Now from this equation 14 and 15, we can conclude that any vector field, here E is the vector field, electric field, so any vector field that satisfies equation 14 and equation 15 is said to be conservative or irrotational field. So instead of any field, if you take x, y, z, any field, vector field if you consider, then if that vector field, if we calculate the line integral of that vector field dot dl equals to 0, or del dot the vector field, considered vector field is 0, then we can say that vector field is conservative in nature or irrotational field. Now these two expressions, we will see that is the Maxwell's equation. So before that we see that otherwise we can say the vectors whose line integral does not depend on the path of integration, as I said earlier, are called conservative vectors. Therefore an electric or electrostatic field is conservative field. So now expression 14 and 15 are referred to as the Maxwell's equation. This is the second Maxwell's equation for static field. We have seen the two Maxwell's equation for the electrostatic field. When we will study the magnetostatic field, then also we will see another two Maxwell's equations. So four Maxwell's equation we will see when we will study complete our electrostatic topic and the magnetostatic topic. So here this equation 14, 6.14 is the integral form of the second Maxwell's equation, and equation 15 is the differential or the point form of the second Maxwell's equation. So that is written here. Equation 14 is the integral form and equation 15 is the differential form, and they both shows the conservative nature of an electrostatic field. Now the relationship of the potential and the electrostatic field, field intensity. So we know according to the definition of the potential, V equals to minus of line integral or integral E dot dl. So if we take the derivative of this V, then dV equals to minus of E dot dl. Now using the Cartesian coordinate system, this vector E can be written as Ex plus Ey plus Ez dot. This dl is the displacement in Cartesian coordinate system, that can be written as dx into unit vector ax plus dy ay plus dz az. Now if we multiply the first term and this first term, then ax dot ax will be 1. So here minus of ex into dx. But if we multiply the first term, this second term, that ax dot ay will be 0 because it is the orthogonal coordinate system. Similarly, the first term, the third term, if we multiply 0, so only the first term into first term will be, we will get second term multiply, we will get third term if we multiply we will get. So here minus of ex dx minus of ey dy minus of ez dz we got. So v dv equals to minus of ex dx minus of ey dy minus of ez dz. Now according to the calculus of multivariables, if we consider a parameter v, if we consider a parameter v and its total change is the sum, then its total change if we consider, then its sum is its change is the sum of partial change with respect to x, y, z variables. That means what? Mathematically we can write according to the calculus of multivariables, dv equals to del x v dx plus dou y v dy plus dou z v dz. So now comparing this equation 17 and this equation 16, we can get Ex equals to minus of dou x of v, Ey equals to minus of dou x of v, dou y of v, and Ez equals to minus of dou z of v. So if we write in vector form, then we can write finally from this we can write E equals to minus of grad v. This is the relationship. Equation 6.18 shows the relationship between the electric field intensity and the potential of a point. So that means the electric field intensity is the gradient of V, and here negative sign indicates that the direction of E is opposite to the direction in which V increases, or E is directed from higher to lower levels of V. So here, so we can say the direction of E will be in the opposite direction in which the V increases. So now the second point from this equation we can get conclusion that since the curl of gradient of a scalar function is always 0, according to the vector identity we know del cross del v equals to 0, then equation 15 is obvious. You can see that equation 15 del cross E equals to 0, that must be obvious because according to the vector identity we know that del cross del V equals to 0. So instead of del V, if we write E, so del cross E equals to 0. So that expression which we got in equation 15, that is obvious. That means in this, that is the valid expression. It is obvious implies that E must be a gradient of a scalar. So from that also, from this vector identity also we can assume that the expression E equals to minus grad V is valid. So we can say equation 18, this equation 18, 6.18 could be obtained from equation 6.15. 15. That means E del cross E equals to 0. Therefore, equation 18 shows another way to obtain the electric field E apart from using Coulomb's law or Gauss law. That is, if the potential V is known, then electric field intensity E can be found by using expression 18. So that is all for today's class, student. Thank you very much.